And everyone should be in now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, good evening. I am calling this public hearing to order at 6 p.m. in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGLC 131, Section 40, and the Boston Wetlands Ordinance, Boston City Code Ordinances, Chapter 7-1.4. The Boston Conservation Commission will hold this virtual public hearing this evening on March 11th, 2026, to review the following projects to determine what conditions, if any, the commission will impose in order to protect the interests of the public and private water supply, groundwater, prevention of pollution, flood control, prevention of storm damage, protection of fisheries and land containing shellfish, and protection of wildlife habitat. This evening's public hearings will be followed by our regular meeting. In accordance with Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, we are conducting this meeting online to ensure public access to the deliberations of the Conservation Commission. The public may access this call through telephone and video conferencing. Additionally, the meeting is being recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, please turn off your video. Members of the public may have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions. To do so, please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. For the record, I am Michael Parker, Chair of the Commission. Could staff please identify themselves?
Elena Itamari with the Environment Department.
Dee Dee Hernandez with the Environment Department.
Mason Hagan with the Environment Department.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'll call the roll of commissioners present. Commissioner Sullivan,
John Sullivan.
Commissioner Linay,
Amy Linay.
Commissioner Estes Smargiassi,
Steve Estes Smargiassi.
Commissioner Herbst.
Ann Herbst.
Great, thank you. First item on the agenda this evening has been continued. It was notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2103 in Boston, file number 2026-006 from Epsilon Associates on behalf of the City of Boston Public Facilities Department for the proposed site enabling work at the North End Community Center, including cutting and capping utilities, demolition of the Valerisi bathhouse, and improvements to the existing seawall at 471 Commercial Street in the North End. Resource areas, 25-foot waterfront, coastal bank, land subject to coastal storm flowage, 100-foot buffer to coastal bank, 100-foot buffer to coastal beach. Proponent has asked for a continuance. Do any commissioners have any issues with that?
No.
Hearing none. Thank you, Commissioner Sullivan. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to continue this hearing. Eleanor, we have until March 25th here on the agenda. What we're waiting for is for this project to clear MEPA or get a MEPA certificate for its FEIR. So what are we doing here? Serially continuing it for 2 weeks or?
That's correct. So the proponent specifically requested that it be continued to the March 25th hearing, but they do understand that that is the piece of information that the commission is still waiting on. So hopefully we do get that in the next 2 weeks, and if not, I anticipate that they will probably request another continuance.
Okay. Well, they're clearly not going to get a MEPA certificate for an FEIR within 2 weeks. That's going to be a months-long process. So we'll continue it for 2 weeks now, but let's have a discussion what we're going to do because I don't want to continually continue this.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I can coordinate with the project team and see between now and the next hearing if they would be willing to amend their request for continuance to take that into account and not to have it end at a certain date, but rather just once we have that information.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to continue this hearing until the March 25th, 2026 hearing.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Sullivan?
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Smargiassi?
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst? Commissioner Herbst?
Sorry. Aye.
And I vote aye, so that carries 4-0. And I'm assuming, Commissioner Linay, you're recused on this, right?
That's right. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, notice of intent for unassigned DEP file number and unassigned Boston file number from Niche Engineering on behalf of the Department of Conservation and Recreation for the proposed redevelopment of the Artesani parking lot in Herder Park, including The construction of a new sidewalk and shared use path at 1255 Soldiers Field Road in Alston. Resource areas are bordering land subject to flooding, 100-foot buffer to BVW, 100-foot buffer to inland bank, and 25-foot waterfront area. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is John Cavanaro. I'm a professional engineer and I'm a project manager with the Department of Conservation and Recreation. And this evening I'm with Jessica Waller, another civil registered engineer from Niche Engineering, the project manager for our project.
Okay. John, can you just hold on for 1 second? Do we have a hand up?
It was me. It was Jess saying I'm one of the proponents. So
Okay.
thanks for the introduction, John.
Good evening. Okay. Thank you. Floor is all yours, John.
Okay, perfect. And I'll share my screen. Or I'm sorry, Dee Dee, am I sharing my screen or do you have it as part of the next slide? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Great. So John, we'll let you introduce the project and the context.
Thanks, Jess. So the Artesani parking lot redevelopment, this is the first project out of our 2022 master plan for Herder Park, which runs from Elliott Bridge to the Arsenal Street Bridge. And this is sort of the centerpiece. This is the prominent stopping point and activity location, finished for the head of the Charles, a lot of special events. We have the spray deck and a number of events that go on here. So unfortunately, it's seen its better life in the past. It's really just a large swath of pavement that we're hoping to do a lot of improvements on. If we want to go to the next slide, we'll talk some about the project goals that were identified in the master plan, namely to bolster its climate resilience with some green infrastructure. We're looking to reduce the heat island effect that this large swath of pavement generates. We're looking to improve some flood control, flood mitigation, improve some water quality by enhancing the stormwater features and adding a lot more green space. We're looking to improve pedestrian and cyclist accommodations by creating more dedicated ped paths and improve cycling amenities throughout the park and this specific area. Try to create some separation between the two as well, which we've heard a lot about from the public. And by doing that, we'll be improving safety and accessibility and vehicular circulation by reducing some of the redundant curb cuts out here and trying to get the paths a little bit more predictable and well-defined for both peds, bikes, and motor vehicles. We're doing a lot of upgrading of the utilities. There's a lot of overhead wires that we want to put underground. I mentioned the stormwater infrastructure that we're looking to improve out here. It's dated and needs a lot of improvement. We'll also be providing new lighting with some new dark sky, more decorative features for lighting throughout the parking area and improving the wayfinding signage throughout the lot. I'll talk a little bit about the next slide, existing conditions. Some of you may be familiar with the lot. It's the work area that we're going to have out here is going to be about 11 acres, 7 acres of which is really the parking lot itself and the adjacent access drive aisles. And about little less than an acre of that is areas within your jurisdiction on 2 corners of the work area. One being on the northwest corner near the Artesani playground and splash pad identified. We have some area within the 100-foot buffer to the bank and 25 feet to the water side. And then opposite that near the moat and the BVW that's adjacent to the moat, we have some work on, again, paths and wayfinding areas over in those 2 corners. That's the area that we're working within your jurisdiction. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jess and she can get into more details on the work.
Okay, thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So as John mentioned, some of the main goals are to increase accessibility, which you can see on the top left. And from a drainage perspective, this is a very low-lying parking lot with degraded pavement that ponds and very low drainage infrastructure that also ponds during storm events. So there's an example of the issues at the bottom right there. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see our proposal. So we're rotating the parking lot a bit and adding a lot of green space, as you can see. So the light green is just the landscaping that we're introducing, which will include some landscapes and trees, and providing shade and heat island reduction. And then the darker green is where we are actually proposing stormwater management using bioretention basins. So at the low points, wherever we could, we are proposing bioretention basins with curb breaks. And I'm going to back up actually, and I realize I have not yet. This slide can show where the resource areas are relative to the parking lot. So that light blue line that intersects the northwest part of the parking lot, that's in the 100-foot buffer. And then we're just outside of the 25-foot waterfront. We're just within the 25-foot waterfront area, not touching the 25-foot riverfront area. So you can see our project limits are just outside the 25-foot riverfront area. And then secondly, on the right side towards the moat, you can see the blue line is the 100-foot buffer to resources. We are reducing some imperviousness in that area and just realigning the path. And then in red, you can see the FEMA floodplain, which aside from some impervious area removal, we're not impacting. So getting back to the proposed interventions, we're proposing bioretention basins where we can, and these bioretention basins will be lined with an impermeable, or I'm sorry, with an underdrain due to the soil conditions and high groundwater. And then in blue, we're proposing permeable concrete panels in the parking stalls. And again, these are lined with underdrains, so they're providing water quality treatment. This project results in an overall decrease in impervious area. So this will reduce impervious area, reduce the peak runoff rates. So considered a recharge project. And the water quality is provided through the green infrastructure, bioretention basins, and permeable concrete. Another primary goal, if we go to the next slide, is to elevate the parking lot as well. So as I mentioned, we're working outside the FEMA floodplain for the 100-year, and our goal is to really raise the parking lot elevations where we can to meet the projected flood elevations as part of the 2050-2070 analysis through RMAT and MCFRM. So we have a goal of raising it closer to elevation 6, but are constrained with some existing conditions, mostly at the northeast corner. And then if we move to the next slide, we'll be able to see an example of what we're proposing with the permeable concrete panels. This is a similar application with landscape islands and things, but we'll have a walkway between the stalls, but visually fairly similar. And then the next slide, we're zooming in on the resource area. So this is at the very top left of the page, close to the river. This is the existing conditions within the resource area. So you can see the 25-foot waterfront in red, and then the 100-foot buffer, and the existing conditions in a photo to the right. And then if we hop to the next slide, you'll see the you'll see the area by the moat where we're proposing to remove that asphalt path and replace it with a permeable material. So this will result in a decrease of impervious area. I think I forgot to mention on the other side, there's a increase in impervious area, but that if you want to hop to the last slide, sorry about that. There will be a slight increase in impervious area where we're reconstructing the path, but it's all non-vehicular. And that slight increase is within the, sorry, I'm getting a little mixed up which slide has the pre and post. So sorry. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Thank you. If we hop to the next slide. Aha, there it is. So you'll see we're increasing imperviousness very slightly in the 25-foot waterfront by 26 feet, increasing imperviousness in the 100-foot buffer with this new path alignment. This is the proposed conditions we're now looking at. And then on the right side, we're decreasing imperviousness in the 100-foot in the 100-foot buffer, and in the small portion of FEMA floodplain that we're touching. And the overall parcel project will be a reduction in imperviousness. And so next slide, as I said, this is a redevelopment project, and so we're meeting everything to the extent that we can, but generally this project meets the intent of the stormwater standards, and we're focusing on TSS and phosphorus removal to meet MS4 requirements as well as Mass DEP. And the following slide is how we're meeting the performance standards for the city of Boston. And that's in summary everything we have. I'm happy to answer questions now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, this is a project that's long overdue. And that's a big improvement. I'm familiar with the area, and I know that there is a lot of ponding and flooding over there now. This is, again, a welcome change. So I guess a couple questions I have, then I'll pass it off to the rest of the commission here. As far as phosphorus abatement, as far as like, let me put it this way, as far as improvement on existing stormwater runoff treatment, can you go over that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So if we hop up to back to slide 12, or I guess two back, sorry, you have different numbering system. So with these calcs, what we estimated is that you're removing a bit over, I think those might be backwards. I think over 80% TSS and then over 60% phosphorus. Sorry, those are backwards there. So the idea is we're comparing it to existing. So part of that, a small part of that is due to the reduction in impervious area, but largely it's due to the MS4 credit that you receive for biofiltration. And we equated the concrete to porous pavement. So I can pull up more specific information on the calculations that we have that were part of the stormwater report. But essentially that's the improvement. And since we can't infiltrate here, the credit that we're taking is for filtration before it gets to the under drain.
Okay, understood. Yeah, that was my confusion. Maybe we can correct that, or if it's
Sorry.
Hopefully it doesn't. I don't think the presentation is fatal, but as long as the NOI doesn't have the metrics reversed there, and I'll let Commissioner Sullivan talk to the 62% of total phosphorus. So as far as the pervious pavers that are going in, what's the maintenance plan to make sure that they perform as they're supposed to?
Yep. So we will be on the example manufacturer that we're using is Stormcrete, although there's some equivalent manufacturers, and they recommend a minimum of 2 times. So once after the winter, going in and vacuuming and power washing, and then a minimum of 2 times a year. So that's the recommendation that we're sticking with. And I think in speaking with John from DCR, we will move forward with that. And then if it needs more, it might need more. In terms of the goal is to also limit any salt or sanding during the winter months. I think that is why it's recommended right after the winter, of course, but it can have an impact on these. So we'll be considering as part of the maintenance plan how to avoid excessive use of salt and sand there. And that might mean John had floated the idea of maybe using the permeable parking stalls as snow storage so that it's not getting treated and then coming in and cleaning it out after the snow melt.
Okay, I
I'll
appreciate
also,
that. John?
yeah, just add that we went through our stormwater management department to try to pick. We looked at a couple different products here, and we tried to pick the least amount of maintenance possible product. So not that we are looking to do what we want, the most durable, simple product out there. And this was one that rose to the top as something that we think is very manageable for our resources. And if we can certainly bring folks in to do more as needed. But a lot of this technology is somewhat new. We tried to pick something that was the simplest.
Okay, I appreciate that. So, what is the maintenance plan now? I mean, what do? You have a contractor that's familiar with the surface that comes in twice a year, or is this a DCR wide maintenance crew that knows how to do this?
Yeah, it depends on the facility and the product. If this is something that we will most likely have the manufacturer come in, we'll have a vendor train the staff. And if we have the equipment that's easily adaptable to perform the required maintenance, then we'll probably work that in to the operation and maintenance plan. But it'll be a little bit of probably an education at first, and then we'll try to transition that into DCR regular maintenance.
Okay, last question for me then. Snow storage. I think this was used as a snow farm this year. I think I've seen a lot of snow over there. What's going to be going on with that practice going forward after the renovations?
Yeah, so it won't be in the past, way before my time. I've been here for a few years, but I understand that DOT and others would use this. They'd have a salt shed out there, and
Yep.
that has gone by. That is no longer the case out here, to my knowledge. It's been shifted at different locations. So certainly with this amount of investment into this asset, we're not going to be looking to have that kind of activity.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's funny. I remembered a big salt pile, but I thought it couldn't have been, so it must have been a snow pile. But
No,
okay.
no. There was definitely no salt shed
Okay.
there. There is a temporary staging area for the reconstruction of the intersection at Everett Street right now, but that's it. That's outside of your jurisdiction, but yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Elena, what do you have on this?
Yeah, so as we noted in our staff comments, we did not conduct an in-person site visit due to snow cover, but we did a virtual site visit, which answered a lot of our questions. I did want to flag, and I just wanted to check with the project team. I don't believe the DEP has issued a file number for this yet. Have you heard from them, or is that still the case?
Correct. At the start of this meeting, that's still the case, although Catherine for office got in touch and they're aware of that and working on it.
Okay, yeah. So just, yeah, our flag for this for the commission is just that there hasn't been a file number issued yet.
Okay, so unfortunately, that means a continuance till we get a file number, unless Jess, you can pull one out of your hat in the next few minutes, hopefully. Okay, Commissioner Sullivan.
Yeah, I saw your numbers of 62% removal. I'm assuming it is phosphorus. How much water do you anticipate capturing with these different devices you've got? Are you calculating a 62% saying a half an inch of rain will be that, or are you going to hold a 1 inch, which is generally required by the water and sewer? And I'm assuming you're connecting to the outfall pipe that the water and sewer owns.
Oh, good point. I forgot to mention that. So a few things. I did pull up our stormwater report. This is just a typo on the PowerPoint. In our stormwater report, it says 62% phosphorus, 86% TSS. And happy to walk through those pollutant removal calcs this time or next time or separately. But your question about what depth. So our goal was to store the 1 inch. Actually, I'm sorry, let me back up. This outfall here is DCR owned, so we're actually not connecting into any BWSC storm drains, which why John we haven't submitted this for site plan review.
Yep.
And to answer your question about what depth we're treating, our goal was 1 inch for all of them, understanding from Mass DEP, the minimum is half an inch. We got close to an inch for all of them, but we're really tight on space. So there's some areas where the storage depth that we're treating is closer to 0.7 inches. And our pollutant removal calcs have a sheet for each BMP. So I can flip through that if that's helpful. Per depth of filter cores, let me find exactly how those were summarized. It's been a few months since we submitted it, but with the bioretention basin, that's more where we're limited. The permeable concrete in general treats the 1 inch storage depth. The bioretention basin one is where we're pretty constrained in some of those areas. So it's closer to the 0.7 inch. I'm just trying to find exactly where.
And you don't have any contaminated earth over here, do you, that you know of?
We're hoping not. This is mostly filled salt marsh.
Yeah.
Going back when it was I mean, it started as the racetrack 100 years ago, and then it became this parking lot after the racetrack.
Right. Well, we didn't always worry about what we were filling things in with.
Yeah.
That's the problem. The depth to groundwater. What you said the groundwater is high. And when I saw the elevation 6, that's old MDC base. Is that the elevation you're working off of? The elevations you had were like 6. Those don't seem to jive with elevations we use. Everything we use.
Correct. Yeah. This was, yes, correct. So this is not Boston City based. This is
Yeah, I think it's NGVD.
which yes, now you're reminding me of this whole coordination that we had early on, because we went into this knowing this would be the major approval and looking at Conservation Commission. It's okay if the survey and proposed design is on NGVD 98, 88.
88.
Yeah, so correct. You are very correct. This is not Boston City base.
Yeah, so that would be about 12.46 would be the Boston City base number. Do you know what the groundwater level? You said it's high.
Yes.
And you got jurisdictional issues with how close you can put infiltration systems in relationship to the groundwater. You got to be 2 feet.
Mhm.
Do you make the 2 feet?
No, so let me pull that up. That wasn't part of this presentation. So let me pull up our info, unless Catherine, if you're here, I'd ask Catherine to grab our groundwater info too. So if Catherine's here, maybe you can pipe in, but let me find them. But essentially, as we move closer to Soldiers Field Road, we were getting close to hitting that 2 feet, but it still was not a 2 feet separation. And then moving closer to the river, it was less than 2 feet from the bottom of our biobasin or permeable concrete. But I want to give you more specific elevations. So let me grab those.
Well, good news is you're being continuous. We got 2 weeks for me to pound away at you, so that's
Yeah,
a plus.
these are all very good questions.
But just to clarify, Jess, we're not taking any credit for anything less than 2 feet.
Correct. Yeah, we're not taking credit for infiltration.
Yeah, you're just not supposed to build them either. The other question I had was when I saw the amount of TSS coming out, which is a good number, 86%. Are you counting the permeable pavement as removing suspended solids? Because that means you're clogging up your concrete because it's capturing solids. And so if you miss the season for whatever reason, maintenance is an issue, that's why I assume they're removable panels, because they'll be jammed full of crap and you got to turn them upside down and power wash them. And I'm just nervous about the maintenance because, DCR, when they're on their game, does great job of maintenance, but they don't always play the game. So the maintenance can suffer 1 year because of all kinds of, funding. And it always makes me nervous when I see things like this. That's why we really like catch basins that do the TSS removal, because you can clean them and then you go into an infiltration system. But that's hard to do when you get high groundwater. So I understand the difficulties you have. I just didn't know what you were counting when and where. So
we are taking credit for the filtration through the filter media below the concrete panels.
Yep.
They are removable by section, like you said, which is, in my opinion, one of the benefits of these. We do have backup catch basins in every permeable concrete area in case they do become clogged up, that are just about an inch from the low point.
Right.
And a lot of the low points. So the permeable concrete takes, say, about half of the impervious area, while the other impervious area is treated with bioretention basins. So we have fail safes and backups, but with proper maintenance, essentially that filtration, that credit that we get for the 80 to 90% TSS removal for each one is in the sand and filter layer below. So,
and do you specify how big these removable concrete things are, or are you going to leave that up to the contractor to put in a size? You mandate that it can't be any bigger than this because they're way too much.
Right. No, they're prefabricated.
Right. I know that, but they sometimes make them in 2 foot widths. Some other knuckleheads like 10 by 10s. So now you need a crane to pick it up. You know what I'm saying? DCR people working on 2 foot wide by 10 foot, I can see it happening. A 10 foot by 10 foot now gets into some tricky stuff.
Yeah, the panels. So you're not talking about the depth, the thickness. You're
Oh,
talking
no,
about the actual
width
footprint.
is-
I believe they're not 10 foot by 10 foot. Let me see the exact dimension, but I believe they're closer to the 2 by 10 if I'm even looking at our photo example. But let me also pull up that number from our detail sheet, exactly what it is. And also looking at the Storm Creek website, they do offer, as you said, different sizes. Parking lots. Would it,
They look like
can I
4
throw
by
a
5s.
photo in here? Sorry, what was that?
What your detail that you had on the slide was 4 by 5s.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I could share this photo, but essentially I think that's their standard square dimension.
Yep. Yeah, and all my comment is that you stick with that and tell them that's
Yeah.
manageable.
Yeah.
The problem is some contractors like getting huge ones because it's easier for them to set them to
Right.
grade when they're bigger. Because it's smaller ones, it's tough getting everything level. And mine, I was just want to make sure that you say that's what you build and you don't give me a 10 by 10 or a 12 by 12 or something. That's all. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure you stick with that. Mainly because of the maintenance thing. These are all great for the first 60 days, and then everything starts going downhill. And it's a matter of keeping up with it. So other than that, that's it fits all the standards and all that. It's a hell of a thing to try to keep clean. This parking lot was recommended to have DCR work with Boston Water and Sewer for removing phosphorus by giving us rights to get into land. I don't think anybody from DCR had called us to tell us they were moving forward with the Herder Park. So that's a bit of a disappointment. Not that I think it could have worked because you are so low, but whatever. That's water, as they say, water over the dam, not just the Watertown Dam. So
I can certainly bring that back, John, and talk.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
yeah. Oh well, yeah. We had talked back and forth several times with the gang. So, but the whole problem, a lot of this is Article 97 issues. Every time we want to do something anywhere near a park, Article 97 jumps up on us, and the grief that causes is immense.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's all I had on it.
Okay, and so let's make a note for special conditions for when this returns. Elena, maybe you can sharpen up the maintenance conditions that we have and talk about them with Commissioner Sullivan. Make sure that we
Absolutely.
get what we need.
Sounds great.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Linay?
I also had some maintenance related questions. So on the bioretention basins, can you talk a little bit about those, how they're designed, if they're capturing sediment, and then what the upkeep of those will be?
Yeah,
Maybe
so
that's a DCR question.
yes, so these bioretention basins, so water will flow into them with curb breaks and some stone to prevent erosion right at the curb breaks. And then water will pond up, and we're providing a storage depth of ponding for up to an inch. Like I said, there's a few spaces where we just couldn't get it, but very close to an inch everywhere. And in some cases, we've overcompensated and gotten larger than 1 inch storage depth. And all of those exact depths are in the stormwater report under the phosphorus removal calcs, but essentially the water will filter through the mulch and soil layer with the plantings that are being designed by KZLA, and then filter through the sand and stone layers below grade. And then once they move to the stone, they'll be picked up by the under drain. So the maintenance in these, it's similar cadence, like in terms of doing inspections and removing debris and inspecting it after large storm events, especially during the establishment period. But these function, a lot of the maintenance is the surface level removal of the trash, whereas we're not anticipating them having to remove the actual planted soil and stone sections unless there's an indication of a failure. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And then
I'll add a little bit more to that, in terms of the plantings that we asked. KZLA is the landscape architect, unless you're familiar with them, to keep the plantings as low maintenance as possible. And aesthetically, I mean, I believe the first round of plant selection was a little bit more elaborate than our capacity is to maintain. So we tried to keep, again, with this selection of the product, with the permeable paver, we're trying to keep things that are more manageable and more akin to getting maintenance and getting treated on a regular basis.
And so in that area, and then my other question was related to the seeded areas, which I think can, sometimes be a little tricky. I think there are seeded perennials, to get established and to kind of manage weeds in those areas. Is there a maintenance plan for that includes, you typically applying an herbicide or hand pulling weeds as those get established?
So again, most of these areas are outside your jurisdiction, but they'll all fall within the landscape management plan. I believe there's a sort of a reservation-wide land management plan as well with the commission in terms of areas that are within your jurisdiction, but there is a landscape management plan that goes across the reservation for all the properties.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll just add, without knowing too much detail of which plants are where, we had sent the order of conditions and KZLA, the draft order of conditions, and KZLA reviewed the DCR plantings and management and agreed with all of those requirements in terms of the species types and the maintenance. So happy to get more information on that directly from Danielle from KZLA, if that's helpful.
I think it's fine. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do think we do get an annual report about the reservation-wide VMP, and I think we might be coming up on it. I seem to remember we get it sometime in late spring. Elena, does that ring a bell, or Commissioner Herbst?
For which project in particular?
For the DCR VMP plan over in that area?
Oh, yes. So we actually had there's a few sort of ongoing, sorry, actually, instead of just continuing to talk, I will look that up while you continue the conversation and report back.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary for right now. Commissioner Linay had a question about vegetation management, so it would be, if you could direct her to it, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm sure this comes up every time we talk about DCR projects, but it slipped my memory.
Definitely.
Okay, Commissioner Smargiassi?
So my comments more like construction. I assume the whole site more or less tilts towards the water. And you're removing this pretty large area of pavement. What's your plan during construction for keeping dust and sediment from moving across the site to the river?
Yes. Go ahead, Jess.
Well, I was going to add, of course, the contractor will have to meet the SWIP requirements and the erosion control, which would be on the downslope side. Protective measures such as hay bales and silt fences. They'll protect any existing or proposed catch basins throughout construction. And one thing that will work with them to make sure is stockpile areas are limited and covered and located outside of the resource areas, and minimizing how much area is disturbed as part of the sequencing. And John?
I was just going to mention the SWIP that they're going to be working under and a pretty elaborate technical specifications that they're going to have to abide by, which includes a lot of typical dewatering and any, not so much dewatering, but more controlling dust and soil and runoff and any erosion areas. Again, we have a pretty limited area within the jurisdiction, but site-wide, we're going to be certainly very cautious and deliberate about maintaining the requirements under the SWIP.
Yeah. And even though this is mostly not in our jurisdiction is between you and the water, and you're going to see movement in that direction.
Sure. Yep.
what are you using for raising the site? Is it just moving soil around on site? You know, your excavate's going to get moved over, or are you bringing in
No, we'll need to bring in clean bank run gravel or whatever is specified for the specific layer that we're going to be putting in. But no, we won't be reusing. We'll need to import materials.
Okay. No, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. And John, that also reminds me, I was reluctant to bring this up, but my horror story about work over there several years back when the playground was first expanded, a couple of excavators, and I think the work was being done during the spring, decided, I guess they had to access the playground area, so they backed up into the area between the pedestrian pathway towards the river and left 2 3 foot divots, huge tire marks in that area, and didn't really fix them for quite a while. So just want to make sure, alert you to the fact that heavy machinery or any sort of machinery shouldn't be operating on the other side of that pedestrian path.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Herbst.
Excuse me. I know we've been talking a lot about the maintenance plan for the pavers. I just want to make sure that we, especially since we will need to continue this, that we do get a written maintenance plan that we can take a look at before we go forth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just want to remind members of the public to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Okay, Elena, do you have, so I guess you have several notes there.
Yes.
And I think for ease of going through next hearing, it would be good if we could share the conditions related to the issues maintenance issues that Commissioner Sullivan was concerned about. Jess, I think that there was some other facts and figures that you were going to look up and provide as well. So, just want to use our time wisely between now and next hearing.
Yeah.
That being said, go ahead.
Well, I guess, and we can talk separately to you, Elena, but so a lot of those like separation of groundwater and things, those are in the very long technical stormwater report. So I can happily pull out anything that's relevant or tag it in the compiled PDF or anything like that.
Yeah, if you could excerpt it for Commissioner Sullivan, if you give him a document that large, it might put him to sleep, and we don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Elena, any hands raised?
I see no hands and nothing in the inbox either.
Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to continue this hearing.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Commissioner Sullivan?
Aye.
Commissioner Linay?
Aye.
Commissioner Estes-Margiazzi?
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst?
Aye.
And I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good night.
Good night. Okay, next item on the agenda is, again, unassigned DEP file number and unassigned Boston file number from GEI Consultants, Inc. on behalf of the Boston Planning and Development Agency for the proposed reinforcement of the bulkhead between Piers 4 and 5, repairs to adjacent concrete and deck replacement at 8th Street in Charlestown, Mass. Resource areas, land under ocean, coastal bank, rocky intertidal shores, land subject to coastal storm flowage, 25-foot waterfront, 100-foot buffer to coastal bank, and 100-foot buffer to rocky intertidal shores. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
Chair Parker, I am Dolores Fazio from the city's planning department, real estate group.
Great. Hi, Dolores.
Hi. I'm here along with Dan Robbins and Morris Shell of GEI Consultants. We want to present our flagship wharf project, which is the 4th or 5th in a series of improvement projects we've had along the Charlestown Navy Yards waterfront in the past, say, 6 or 7 years. The reason why so many is because a lot of the most recent improvements were made in the 1980s, so kind of need an update. Jan is here, Moritz is here, and they'll present a few slides to further familiarize us with the work. Dan, Moritz, want to take it?
Thanks, Dolores. Yes. Morning or evening,
Morning.
Commissioner.
Let's hope not.
Oh no, are you still
I'm
in
gonna have to
Alaska?
put you on the 10-minute limit here.
Hold on. There you go.
Thank you for the time. Yes, as Dolores has said, we're going to be presenting here on Shipyard Park within Charlestown Navy Yard for flagship wharf bulkhead rehabilitation. We can go to the next slide. We can continue one more. Next slide.
Oh,
Are we able to go to the next slide?
yeah. Now we've got blue, green areas of the wharf between. Do you see that, Dan?
Oh, I'm not seeing that. So, okay.
We all are.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, the left-hand side between the Pier 4 and 5 is in blue. And then we've got a green section of a boardwalk.
Dan, are you not seeing any of this?
I am not seeing that, so I apologize.
Do you have a presentation that you printed you could look at while you...
Oh, yes, there we go. All right, it's showing back up.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Phew. All right, so at least the slide that I am currently seeing says site elements on it. And on this slide here, there we go. These are all catching up. So our project consists of basically 3 different areas. Area 1 is in red, and that is the MBTA by the MBTA ferry landing. This area has some underdeck concrete spall repairs completed that need to be completed within it. Area 2 is the flagship wharf bulkhead between Pier 4 and Pier 5. And then Area 3 is kind of a continuation of that bulkhead and the harbor walk adjacent to Pier 5. So within that area, we're looking to install a new bulkhead outside of the existing one, repair some of the piles, and as part of that, the existing concrete deck would be removed and replaced with a slightly lighter duty deck at the end of construction. Next slide.
Dan, can you see this? We're at the ferry terminal, Area 1.
Moritz, can you try to kind of discuss through these? For some reason, mine is not working at the moment.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I think Dan, you might be on a little bit of a delay, but yeah, so this is a slightly rotated view, about 90 degrees of Area 1, the MBTA ferry terminal. You can see kind of in light gray. The areas that we're going to be repairing are shown in a little bit of a dark gray up in the upper left-hand corner. And there's various, like we said, concrete spalls and issues. You can go to the next slide. Yeah, so you can see here, the top right is kind of a photo index of where these pictures are taken.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Could I just stop you for 1 second?
Yeah.
I know your name's not Morsch 2827, so for the record,
Yeah.
could you just identify yourself? Thank you.
Yeah, Moritz Schelp with GEI Consultants. So, yeah, in the top right, there's a photo index just showing where these pictures are taken. And we've kind of highlighted some of the concrete spalls that are in this area. Another issue that we see is some exposed rebar, and then there's also some exposed piles that are used to support the decking above If you go to the next slide. Yeah, so picture 3, you can kind of see a big hole in some of the concrete here. And then in picture 4, you can see some of those piles that are in need of recoating, so to say, with concrete to prevent the steel from corroding any further. And our plan in this area, go to the next slide, please. So yeah, our plan in this area is basically to do repairs of any of the exposed rebar by cutting out any of the deteriorated concrete to sound concrete, replacing rebar as needed, placing in new concrete, and then also encasing any exposed piling in this area. Next slide. Then the second area that we're looking to rehabilitate is the flagship wharf bulkhead. These are existing conditions currently shown. So the bulkhead runs along the face of the harbor walk, so to say, between Pier 4 and 5. And in the small cross section, you can see there was a historic bulkhead that had a new bulkhead driven out in front of it. And it's all anchored back with a tieback system that is located further inshore. Next slide, please. So this bulkhead is starting to deteriorate in various rates in the water column, specifically in the intertidal zone. There are a lot of notable holes in the bulkhead. You can kind of see in the bottom right that there's just general corrosion to the bulkhead. One of the bigger issues, so to say, is the whale that is used in the whale and tieback system. If you go to the next slide. So you can see in the bottom left, the whale kind of has noticeable holes in it, almost completely failed. And then also the tie rods as part of this whale system are experiencing pretty significant section loss. So this is something that is quite a concern, as if the way a lot of these tieback systems are constructed, once one of those members fails, a lot of the load has to be transferred to other tie rods in the system. So that is something that we're trying to, mitigate and avoid by doing our repairs. If you go to the next slide. So, and this plan is proposed conditions. We kind of highlighted in red where we're planning on driving a new bulkhead outshore of the current existing one and bracing it with a batter pile system, as the current tie rod system cannot really be expanded on as they did previously. If you go to the next slide, please. So yeah, here's a proposed condition cross section. You can see that we're putting in a new bulkhead and the batter piles that will be extending outshore of it. We plan to use a concrete infill in between the existing and the new bulkhead, so that in case there's any potential failures of that whale system that we saw that has big holes in it, all of the load will basically just be transferred to the new bulkhead system. All of that will be held together by the concrete cap at the top, which will transfer the loads from the batter piles and into basically the entire wall structure. And all of this will be encapsulated and sit on top of the existing concrete cap that you can see. One of the features that we're also looking to use throughout the site is a concrete facade that will use an admixture that will promote marine growth in the area. That will make it a bit more environmentally friendly. That will mainly just be used on the bulkhead and on the batter piles. We plan to use a UMHW sleeve to protect the piles from not only corrosion, but also the Courageous Sailing Center operates. I think we skipped over that a little bit. If you go back to maybe slide 2, I believe it was. if you could go back a couple slides to the beginning. I think we skipped over it while we're having some technical difficulties. Yeah, so the site elements, you can see Courageous Sailing floats kind of at the bottom of your screen. That's a sailing center that operates in that area, and it's a training center, so obviously there isn't really as much control as you'd hope. So in order to protect the bulkhead, that's kind of why we're planning using that UMHW sleeve around those piles, and also to prevent some damage to the boats that they use. Yeah, you can go back to the slide we were just on, please. Yep. And then one last element that we're planning on using is we're planning to cast the cap to allow there to be future adaptability, sorry, for climate change initiatives. So this would allow there to be a higher seawall to be installed in case there's a need for, any resistance for climate change of higher water elevations in the area. So next slide, please. So the third part of this project will be the harbor walk adjacent to Pier 5. So Pier 5 is a pretty old pier that has a lot of piles that you can see on this plan scattered throughout. A lot of those piles are very deteriorated and in pretty poor shape. You can also see kind of lining going inshore, then going parallel to the shoreline and coming outshore again is another bulkhead that is also in pretty poor shape. There's a number of corrosion holes throughout that are leading to sinkholes in the areas above. If you go to the next slide, please. So on the bottom left is kind of an overview of where that return in the bulkhead happens. You can see in the top right how the bulkhead kind of goes inshore and then parallel again. So on the bottom right, you can see those piles there, steel H piles that used to be encased in concrete. And a pretty typical condition is a lot of those steel H piles are starting to be exposed, and all of the rebar that was in the encasement is also either exposed or failing or completely corroded. So that is starting to become an issue in terms of safety to the public, as the area above is completely supported by those piles. If you go to the next slide. Yeah, so in the bottom left, you can see some of the corrosion holes in the bulkhead. They're up to 3 feet high in some areas, some in repetitive zones, which have led to some sinkholes starting to form, which you can see in the bottom right. And that's something that we're trying to avoid, as a lot of the material will continue to wash out of these areas and basically cause more sinkholes to happen until a permanent fix is made to make an impermeable surface down in the area below. So if you go to the next slide. So our plan in this area is to drive a new sheet pile outshore of the existing sheet pile and infill the area in between with either granular fill or concrete to prevent any material from continuing to wash out. And then similar to the bulkhead between Piers 4 and 5, we also plan to use a concrete fascia. So if you go to the next slide. And then another factor that we're going to do is we're going to also repair a select number of piles by basically removing any of the unsound concrete and rebar that you saw that was failed in those previous pictures, and encasing the entire element with a new jacket, infilling with concrete, and replacing rebar as needed. As part of this, in order to access part of this area below, we're planning on removing the existing concrete decking above and replacing it with like Dan said, a little bit more lightweight system that utilizes concrete encased steel members and a timber decking to tie into the existing timber decking that is found throughout the site. And yeah, I believe the concrete fascia will also be utilized in this area to promote marine growth as needed. Next slide. That's about it.
Okay,
Thanks.
great. Thank you, Morris. Yeah, someone who's learned how to or took sailing lessons. I shouldn't say I learned how to sail, courageous sailing. I now realize I might be part of this problem here with my out of control sailboat. Interesting. So quick few questions from me because we have a lot of construction expertise on the commission here. As far as the you're going to be have an infill 18 inches. You're going to put in a new sheet pile. You're going to have 18 inches. Did we get anything back from DMF about aquatic habitat? What's the situation there?
We did receive, I am back, Commissioner, Dan Robbins with GEI. We did receive some comments earlier today from DMF, and they had two very minor comments. We have no issue with the comments that they had provided. They were both one that based on the way the project is going to be located, they didn't see a need for time of year restrictions on the project. And then let me just double check on the other comment that they had, but hold on one second. I had to switch to my phone, so.
Sure. Eleanor, these are going to get in our file, correct?
Sorry, yes, I believe that they are.
Okay. I didn't see them earlier.
We received them from Dee Dee earlier today, so they should be in files as well.
Okay, so we have them. That's good. We can move on. As far as the e-concrete, can you tell me a little bit more about that? It sounds great. As far as strengthening the new structure, I mean, how does it perform?
Sure, I'll take that one. So the e-concrete that we're proposing is really an additive to the concrete mixture that reduces the pH or changes the pH in the concrete to allow marine organisms to more readily find a suitable habitat. It doesn't fundamentally change the actual concrete properties itself. And we are planning on using that in place of what would typically be an epoxy coating on steel sheeting to protect. So it's got a longer life expectancy with reduced maintenance. Typically with the epoxy coatings, you need to recoat them about every 10 years. We would expect this facade really to last in the 25 plus year range between routine maintenance on it.
Is that because marine life forms attached to it?
It is a concrete that really is reducing the chlorides, and so
it doesn't deteriorate.
Doesn't deteriorate as readily.
Okay. Okay. As far as how you selected like the load bearing here, I guess there are two related questions. Want to make sure that, we're not going to have failure during the work, right? And also, how are you managing debris? When will you be doing the work? And how will that, I assume, are you going to be bringing a barge in?
Yeah, we would anticipate most of this work being completed from the water side.
Okay.
Here versus onshore, just due to the limited access that is really in the project site. We expect and are hoping to be able to start this work, putting it out to bid in the fall. And so the work period really for this would primarily be over, the winter season versus a summer where we've got more high pedestrian traffic within the area there. So
Okay, so you'll have on the barge spill prevention plan, all the things that are necessary for a potential hydraulic leak. As far as debris coming off of the face of the work that you're working on, how are you going to be controlling that? You're going to be having nets, something that can be picked up daily. How's that going to work?
Sure. So for the concrete that is the concrete repairs, we'd have basically all of that would be caught. The contractor is going to be required to, collect all of that material so it can't fall to the seafloor. And then within the area, we'll also have it boomed off, so any debris is retained and then would have to be collected.
Okay. And then quick question on the harbor walk replacement. I assume that comes after. What's the situation with stormwater there? The harbor walk was replaced recently along Dry Dock 2, and we had conversations about the stormwater system that was underneath the harbor walk. What do you know about what is underneath what you're going to be replacing?
This area of the Harbor Walk doesn't have any catch basins or items of that nature within it. So there is just some of the water within there. There is granular fill, and it just currently infiltrates down through that.
Okay, and this might be a question for Dolores. There is work currently going on over at Pier 4. The work that you're proposing tonight, is that a continuation of that work? I know clearly it's not the work. You're not already out there doing it,
No.
but how do they work with each other? Or
It will be a whole separate project. That project will conclude pretty soon. They're almost finished with the fender replacement. Fender piles and,
okay, good.
yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that. Now I'm going to turn you over to the real experts. Elena, what do you have?
Yes. I apologize in advance for any cat noises in the background. But similarly to our first project, for completely different reasons, mainly being that we were looking at maybe coming to the site during high tide, we did not do an in-person site visit, but we did do a virtual site visit, which answered a lot of our initial questions. DMF has provided comments on this project, and that is in the drive folder for the commission's review. But I will flag also similar to our first project that there has not been a DEP file number issued, but I did want to check with the project team to see if maybe anybody from Mass DEP had reached out last minute to assign one. I'm just not seeing one in the portal.
We have not seen one in the portal. We did reach out to DEP.
Understood. Okay,
not heard.
thank you. Yeah, so that would just be our only flag, is that there isn't a file number issued yet.
Okay, so unfortunately, Dolores, we're going to have to continue this till we get the DEP file number. Okay, Commissioner Sullivan. Commissioner Sullivan, I think
He's
you might be.
muted.
Yeah, I didn't want you to hear my dogs. So there you go.
Oh,
Talk to
okay.
dogs. Could you go to the slide that showed the cross section of the sheet wall and the infill? Not that one. Keep going backwards. Right there. I was a little confused as to how the tie backs are working on that. Where your new bulkhead wall is on the outside of that pier, I assume. Oh, where's your new sheet wall on that thing?
The new sheet wall is the white kind of what looks like a pile
Yep. Oh,
in
yeah,
the
okay.
concrete.
Yep.
And
So
then
your tie backs are just sitting inside a infilled concrete?
that tieback that's shown is an existing tieback
Okay.
from the current bulkhead.
And how
Our
do you?
our tieback will be the batter piles that
Okay.
are driven out in front of it.
So your batter piles will be steel?
They'll be steel, correct.
Okay. And how many of those are you putting in?
I think the quantity is probably about 20 of those.
All right. Yeah, I was just wondering how you're welding all these things together. I couldn't quite figure any of that out. So when you do on existing concrete piles with the rebar exposed, how many of those are damaged beyond repair, or can they all be repaired? And I assume you'll chip out the concrete and rebuild it, report. Is that what you're intending to do?
Correct. Yes, we're planning to chip out the existing concrete,
Yeah.
install a new rebar cage, and
Okay, you are putting a new rebar cage.
correct.
Okay, I couldn't quite figure that one out either. And you're not violating anything. You got plenty of distance to the harbor lines and everything else. By putting in extension of this sheet wall, you're not gonna violate, you're not that close that you'll violate any existing harbor lines or something that should have a problem with, right?
No, all of the harbor lines are well outside of this area.
Right, and what you show on the top of this one here, you show the 1% slope heading back inland. So that's how you control sheet flow. You don't have any sheet flow directly over any of these surfaces into the water?
Correct. The existing concrete cap that's there is also higher than the area, so it doesn't actually sheet flow into the water currently.
Right. And does this work get done at low tide or high tide, or you don't think it matters?
This work really won't matter too much as far as the tide conditions go for the bulkhead replacement. The work with the repair of the piles themselves will likely be low tide work.
Right.
That's really kind of in a intertidal zone there.
Right, you mean low water you showed on this particular drawing, so you'll tremie in that concrete infill?
Correct. Correct.
So that's all in your specs and all that. So we don't leave all methods up to contractors. You at least tell them some things.
Exactly.
You know, I always get nervous with that. And did you say you spray a concrete on the front of the new sheet wall? Is that
correct? We're looking at putting 3 inches of concrete on the new face instead of using an epoxy coating.
And how does that stick? Is it like a swimming pool wall? You just spray it?
Exactly. Well, it actually gets formed. So
it is formed. Okay.
Yeah, they'll put a form on the outside.
Oh, okay. I thought you were spraying it, and I was gonna. What do you do with the overspray? But if you're gonna form it, that's fine. All right, that's all I had.
That's all you have? Okay, before I get to other commissioners, after the commissioners are done, I just want to remind members of the public to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you're calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Commissioner Linay?
My questions have all been answered. Thank you.
Oh, okay, great. Commissioner Estes Margiazzi.
The work at the ferry terminal, are you going to need to discontinue use of the ferry dock during that work? I couldn't quite figure out where the specific work was occurring compared to the dock.
Or yeah, we don't anticipate needing to discontinue use of the ferry terminal there during the use of the work.
And then the sort of the drawing we have up now with the top cap, and you mentioned adaptable for future climate change. Has that been coordinated with the city on what their longer term plans are there, or is this just we can stick something on top if we have to, or if somebody else wants to?
Go ahead, Dolores.
We will coordinate, yes, with our colleagues in the coastal resilience team. Certainly for the design flood elevation, they advise.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Sure.
Thank you. Commissioner Herbst?
No questions from me. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so as we said, no DEP file number, so we can't assign you a Boston file number. So we're going to have you back, and maybe there'll be a few more questions when you come back. I don't know. I didn't hear any homework that we were sending you back with to get us more information. Elena, did you write anything down?
No, I don't think so. I think that it's really just the DEP file number.
Okay. And then maybe if we can check in with the climate resiliency folks about, I know that right now we're in the midst of a study, I think, funded by FEMA about future coastal resilience measures along the Charlestown waterfront. Dolores said she's checked in with them. I know that they talk quite a bit. As a matter of fact, I was at a meeting yesterday with a planning department planner, Delaney, who was talking about the Mystic River area there, the lower Mystic. So I'm sure you're coordinating, but Elena, if you could check in to see what the coordination has been, that would be great.
Absolutely.
I don't see any hands up. Anything in chat?
No hands, nothing in chat, and nothing in the inbox either.
Thank you. So with that, I entertain a motion to continue the hearing until March 25th.
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Do we have a sec? Commissioner Smargiassi, did you second?
If I didn't go first, I guess I went second.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Sullivan,
Yes.
Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Smargiassi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I apologize
you.
for the technical difficulties.
Not a problem. Do not worry. Morris did a great job.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, notice of intent for DEP file number unassigned and Boston file number unassigned from Engineering Alliance Inc. on behalf of CB Equities 944 Saratoga LLC for the proposed construction of a mixed-use building, associated parking spaces, utilities, stormwater system, new sidewalk and curbing at 944 Saratoga Street in East Boston. Resource areas land subject to coastal storm flowage. Who's here on behalf of the proponent?
And Chair Parker, apologies. Just for the record, there has been a DEP file number assigned to this project. It is
Great.
006-2107, and the Boston file number is 2026-010.
Okay, so let me get this. 006-2107 for DEP.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let the record reflect that. Now, who's here on behalf of the proponent?
And thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rick Salvo on behalf of Engineering Alliance. Here with me this evening is Bill Mensinger, our architect with Embark, Natalie Adams with Verdant, and John Conley, who is the owner and applicant to this project. As you noted, it's located at 944 Saratoga Street. About 8 years ago, the property next door was permitted by this same applicant. It's a very similar project to this project that was under DP file number 006-1601, about 500 notices of intents ago. This project consists of the construction of a 21-unit mixed-use development. Fronts right on Saratoga Street. Has a WeWork space as the mixed-use component, which is open to the public, which is located at the first floor level at about elevation 16 and a half, Boston City base. All of the living space is above that, about 10 feet above that, at about elevation 26. So all the living space is quite a bit outside of the floodplain. Ellen, do you have our slides, or am I supposed to be sharing my screen here? Yeah, if we can, obviously we're right in the middle of the land subject to coastal storm flowage, elevation 16.45, Boston City base. If we go to the next slide. This is the site right now. It was the former location of D&Z Automotive. It was a fully developed site with a concrete block automotive building that had since been torn down. The tests that you see to the right is the condominium structure that was built. I think we got a certificate of compliance in about 2021. That project included a pervious paver driveway with a Cultex system located underneath the pervious pavers to manage the roof runoff. We're proposing a very similar scheme for this particular project. If we can go to the next slide. So building to the right is one I was just talking about. We're obviously on the vacant lot. Noise Park is all around us to the west and to the north. This section of Saratoga Street didn't have any sidewalk. The sidewalk was built next door as part of that project. We'll be continuing that as part of this project. If we can go to the next slide. This is just the erosion control plan. We can go to the next slide. Be great. There we go. So this is the proposal, the 21 unit building. As you can see, we'll be expanding the pervious pavers over to complete this driveway. There's a Cultex system that's been sized appropriately for the roof of handle the roof runoff associated with this proposed building. You can see the curbing changes out front. There's a bump out to accommodate a new wheelchair ramp to get out to Noyes Park. We'll be planting a tree in Saratoga Street in a bioretention area. There's about 14 trees that are being planted on this site in total, about 13 shrubs, and then a whole bunch of ornamental grasses, both around the site and in that particular bioretention area. Our architect has been working with Logan Grant's office, mostly with Amber over there, who I think handles most of the coastal stuff, to talk about the measures that'll be taken inside this building in terms of the wet flood proofing of the lobby, the dry flood proofing of the WeWork space, and then obviously all of the utilities and living spaces well above the floodplain. This site will include about 9 parking spaces located underneath the building, similar to the layout next door. Again, the only resource area here is land subject to coastal storm flowage. So I guess with that, I'll turn it back to the commission for any questions or comments that you might have.
Great. Okay, thank you, Rick. Okay, couple things from me here. First one is you're going to be wet. Well, let me start with the uninhabitable spaces. They're not uninhabitable, but spaces that are not being used for habitation. You said first
Like storage room.
Okay. Okay. So what's the height of the ceilings in there, in that area?
I believe there will be 10 feet floor to floor.
Okay. Okay. So is this going to be an apartment building, a condominium building?
Apartment building.
Apartment building. Okay. So I think clearly we want to make sure that this area can't be converted to habitable spaces, right? So I think, Elena, I don't know if we've required that in a order of conditions before, but I think we probably want to. I think we are probably double protected here because
Sorry, a special condition to clarify that the first floor won't be converted into
Yep.
residential.
Yep, exactly.
I can,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that we can include that, or I can check with our colleagues in ISD and planning to see whether that's something that they have covered with their permits.
Yeah, so I think that they probably do, but I think we want to have it as well, right?
Okay,
Make sure that we're complying with the NFIP.
sounds good.
Uh,
And
I
we
was
can
just
include
going
that
to
as
say,
oh,
yeah,
apologies.
I was just going to say that I think we probably are covered under the zoning code 25A. I think that this project probably lies within it. But just in case, just so everybody knows that, there's a belt and suspenders here. Okay, as far as the wet floodproofing areas, are there any vents or?
Yes. I could speak to that for the record. Bill Mensinger, principal at Embark Design in Boston. Do we have the diagram, Rick, or team that we could pull up just for ease of visual?
I think I can. Let's see here. Eleanor, is it possible for me to be able to share?
No, unfortunately not.
Sorry, we
Okay.
prefer to run the slides.
We can go to if we got the floor plan, or do we have a floor plan that I could, or I could just talk about the strategy. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bill, I think my overriding question here is to make sure that there's 1 inch of venting for every square foot of space, right?
That's
So-
correct. Yep. So there will be. So the areas that are going to be allowed to be wet flood proofed, which we said will be the transient entry lobby, and that'll be that'll have flood vent, and a rear door that has access to the front doors. We can put deploy temporary barricades, and there's a back entrance there that will be perimeter enclosed so that people can exit the building safely, be outside, and then walk over the flood barricades if chose to. And then the storage rooms, the trash room, the bike room, those are all wet flood proof. Water will come in, and then there's flood vents within around 8 inches off the floor that are sized appropriately, as you said, so 1 square inch per square foot. So most of the vents are between 12 by 12, and the largest one is 18 by 18.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Thank you. So the form structure next to the project here, same developer, same architect, maybe you?
That's correct.
So these problems,
Yep.
these properties work together. Okay, good.
Yeah, this is the same team that permitted that site.
Fantastic. Okay. I'm just trying to think. Did I have any? Oh, the roof. I
White
think Elena
roof.
talked to you about the roof. We're going to be doing light colors. Any opportunity for any green type of roof up here, or do you have a structural problem?
That has not been discussed with ownership team. The roof is right now is a high SRI TPO roof, so to reduce the heat island on that. There are opportunities or options for sedum and things like that. They don't really absorb much water, but they're more a visual element. But I'd have to defer to ownership before any commitments.
Okay. Maybe I'll let Elena run with that. I think that's going to be it for me. I'll turn this over. Elena, what do you have for this?
Great, thank you. And yeah, I appreciate the note about coordinating with some of our colleagues in ISD and planning. I realize that I didn't ask on the site visit if you have been in touch with the Parks Commission and Carrie Marsh Dixon.
We've had interaction with Parks through the PIC process and through BPDA. So there has been some interaction with Parks.
Okay, I think I would maybe just want to confirm that that there's nothing further that the Parks Commission wants from this because of the proximity to to parks and recreation land. And I believe that other than the roof point, that was going to be it. I think that I'd also recommend, because of the pervious pavers, which are proposed, including our standard conditions for the maintenance of those pavers and having the maintenance schedule and methods of maintenance on file.
Yeah, good point. And that's part of our standard conditions, right?
It's not, but we have language that we apply to projects where, so I can pull from previous projects.
Okay. Yeah, that might be one that's starting to be almost standard.
That's true.
And that did remind me about the Caltech storage and water table issues. But you know what? I'm sure Commissioner Sullivan will ask about that. So why don't we go to him?
So thanks for that preempted question. I assume you're taking the 1 inch of water in the Caltex?
Even more than that, but yes.
Yeah. And one of the questions I had, both this and I thought I had asked it on the building next to you. It looks like you have under the parking underneath the building, correct?
Correct.
And you have a drain in there, according to code, that goes to the sanitary sewer. If we were to get flooded with 2 feet of water in the area before all protections are built, how do you keep your drain line there from taking out our sewer system with the ocean?
The way that the way that we've done it in the past, and I don't think we got that specific on this plan yet, is we put make that a pump system. And then you put a float switch in there that will turn the pump off if that filled all the way up with water and got inundated.
Right. So is this one got a pump system? It looks like gravity to me.
We can certainly put that into the equation. We're about halfway through. I think Lewis has given us a first round of comments, and we've responded to the first round of comments. Haven't finished the design yet, but we can certainly put that into it.
Yeah, I just because by the time it gets to me, I send that back again, so you get to do it anyway. So.
Yeah.
Just thought to give you the heads up. No, it's a concern I have with everything, even in basements. Just the toilets and everything else. What are we going to be doing? Because once water floods it's going to get into the toilets and any drains downstairs, and we need a system to shut that stuff off. A pump system would work fine, but to do it. So that was my only concern on this one.
Okay, thank you. Before we go on, reminder to members of the public, if you want to provide public comment, please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Commissioner Linay?
Yeah, I had a few questions and comments. So in the NOI, it doesn't look like the box is checked for the approval required by the Parks Commission. So I wanted to just point that out. I know Carrie, I did speak to her about this project, and she has, I think, some outstanding questions and comments. Because I know what came up in some previous discussions was about the setback on the rear and left side of the building. Can you clarify if that's now meeting the zoning? Because I think it was previously seeking zoning relief.
Yeah, this project is a by right project. We're not seeking any zoning relief.
Okay, because that was that distance was changed. Is that right?
Yes. And so I think, the last stop that we have after this, before we go to a building permit, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bill or John, is Parks.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, because in the NOI, it just wasn't checked. So I just wanted to note that. And I know Carrie recommended a shadow study be done for this project, even though it is a small project and that's typically not a requirement, just given that it is so close to the park property. So that's something that I think ultimately she'll be looking for.
Yeah, one has been completed. So.
Okay, great. Do you have? Okay, I think that would be interesting to see then if it's completed. Chair Parker, is that something that we can?
I can ask them to put it in the file. Sure.
Put it in the file.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Great. And then let's see. I think I just had a couple other minor comments. I was curious about the Rus typhina at the back, given how tight it is. Is that something that was planted in the other project behind the building?
Hi, Rick. I can field that. Hi, my name is Natalie Adams. I'm the landscape architect for the project. Yes, we had planted the staghorn sumac in the back. And I'm not sure if you've looked at our plant list. They're all, I think most everything is straight species with the exception of 2 plants. So we're proud of that. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think on maybe the quaking aspens too, I guess just trying to understand if there's enough space sort of in the back. They're, fairly close to that that fence. And then the existing tilia that's, I think you can see in this rendering on the parks property. I believe there was some previous pruning of that, and just wanted to confirm that, there's strategies to minimize impacts to that particular tree. And then I have just 2 more quick clarifications, but
sure.
Yeah, any comments on that tree?
Yeah, I can field those too, Rick. We had an arborist determine the health of the tree and prune up the limbs prior, I think it was like 2 years ago. And then we have also just note that tree was there. There was an existing building there, so that root zone was already impacted. And before construction begins, we'll have a tree protection fence and tree protection measures, and then provide irrigation during and after construction. And we're going to have an arborist evaluate the health of the tree at a couple of points during construction. Yes.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Okay, and then 2 nitpicky comments. So I just wanted to confirm. So I think in some of the drawings, the crosswalk is still shown at the entrance to the park, but I'm assuming that's being removed as it's being relocated to the curb, to the new ped ramps. Is that right?
Yeah, it's gonna be slid down slightly to get it away from it. Right now, it's going into a driveway on both sides, right? So that's
Yeah.
the maintenance entrance to the park, or one of the maintenance entrance to the park, and there's also a driveway across the street that crosswalk goes into. In this scenario, it'll go on to two ADA compliant, probably better located pedestrian ramps, and then that entrance will be defined and reconstructed.
Okay, that's great. I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Estes Smargiassi?
I have nothing on this one tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Herbst?
Couple questions. One is, could you tell us how you are handling the maintenance of the pavers now in the building next door?
Yeah, those pavers now are being vacuumed, being swept, and I think Elena can vouch for this. They're as in a good condition after 5 years of maintenance as they were the day they were put in.
Okay. Do you
They're
have
functioning quite well. Yeah.
Good. Do you have an outside firm that does this, or is it something you're managing yourself?
John, do you have someone that's doing that
answer
maintenance?
It was turned over. It's a condo association, so it was turned over to the condo association. But it's a matter of replacing this, as Rick said, vacuum it, then replace it with stone dust. But it's held up.
Number 8 stone, yeah.
Yeah, it's held up extremely well.
Okay.
So as an apartment building, this is one we would continue to maintain versus the condo association maintains it through their landscaping company today.
Right. Okay. And I was just wondering, because you mentioned that this had been an automotive company, is there any concern about soils or needing to test around that?
No, before we purchased it, we did actually a phase 1, and the previous owner had done a phase 2, and the site is fine. So no issues at all.
Okay. Thanks very much. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Elena, any hands raised?
No hands raised and nothing in our inbox or chat either. And Chair Parker, I just had a quick question. If it might be appropriate, if this project is still going to the Parks Commission, to just have a special condition asking that if there's any supplemental materials that are submitted to the Parks Commission, that information could also be sent to us.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And I think we open that door with the shadow study. And again, not within our area of expertise. If we get the shadow study from them independently, we would probably send it over to Carrie to review it for us, or Amy in her Parks Department capacity. But it serves as a way to make sure those shadow studies done, and it sounds like they've already done it. So sure, that makes sense.
Excellent.
Okay.
And then just
Go
for the
ahead.
record, I know that it still needs to go through the Parks Commission review process, but of course, one of our priority construction items is final plans. So in case there are any changes to the plans, we'll have those on our files, or
Yep.
in our files rather.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Good. Yep. Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to close the hearing and issue an order of conditions with the special condition that the whatever supplemental information is provided to the Parks Department for its review, including but not limited to the shadow study, be provided to conservation staff.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Sullivan?
Aye.
Commissioner Linay?
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Smargiassi?
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst?
Aye.
And I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Sure. Okay, next item on the agenda, Ellen, I believe this one is continued. It's the East Boston Resilient Waterfront at East Pier Drive soil borings.
That's correct. We received a request from the project team to continue this project to the next hearing, which will
Okay,
be on
so
March 25th.
okay, so if there are no comments from commissioners, I would entertain a motion to continue the hearing for notice of intent for DEP file number.
I'm just coughing.
Is
Just
that
trying to stay alive, that's all.
that was your best comment all night, though, to be honest.
Well, it's
That
the
was-
only one you understood, so what the hell?
Yeah. Good one. Okay, so entertain a motion to continue the hearing for notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2105 and Boston file number 2026-008.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Sullivan,
Aye.
Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Estes Margiazzi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. I should have known better. That was embarrassing. Good comeback. Wow. Next item on the agenda, request for a determination of applicability from Woods Whole Group on behalf of the Stone Living Laboratory for the temporary deployment of scientific monitoring instruments for wave current and water level data at Kathleen Stone Island, formerly Thompson Island, in Boston Harbor. Who's here on behalf of the proponent here?
I am Leslie Fields from the Woods Hole Group. And excuse me, and we also have Katie Daffhorn from Stone Living Lab and Francesco Perry from UMass Boston.
Fantastic. Floor is all yours.
All right. So we are here tonight to talk about an RDA application we have for work that the Kathleen Stone Island Stone Living Lab wants to conduct. Next slide, please. Just a little bit about the Stone Living Lab. It is a group that's doing innovative testing and scaled up nature-based approaches to climate adaptation, coastal resilience, and ecological restoration. The Stone Living Lab has been conducting projects throughout the Boston Harbor area, and they are proposing one now on Kathleen Stone Island, formerly Thompson's Island, shown on that top photograph. The bottom photograph is just an example of one of the existing installations they have, looking at the benefits of living seawalls for colonization of various benthic organisms.
Leslie, could I just ask you, is that what we approved a few years back, I think over in the Seaport area?
Correct, yes. So there's 2 sites in the harbor that have these tiles on them.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, next slide, please. So this particular project is to install monitoring instrumentation on Kathleen Stone Island. The goal of the project is to evaluate wave attenuation by nature-based solutions. And this is a collaborative effort between the Stone Living Lab and all those organizations you see here on this slide. They plan to install scientific instruments on the island that will include opportunities for resiliency-based research, public engagement, and knowledge transfer. So for other projects that the commission will be seeing hopefully in the future. Next slide, please. So the graphic on the right is an image of the resource areas and the instruments that we are proposing to deploy. We are proposing 4 different types of instruments. They're temporary deployments. We've got tilt current meters. So those are deployed in the nearshore area. We've got acoustic Doppler current profiles as the red X's deployed sort of further offshore. We've got some pressure data loggers. Those are the blue instruments on the beach, and then some cameras. Those are the 3 sort of yellow and black dots that are on the coastal bank. So those instruments collectively will be collecting data on wave height, current velocities, directions, and water levels. There is no excavation or alteration of the resources that will occur as a result of these installations. All right, next slide, please. So I'm just going to go through each of the 4 instruments. The tilt current meters, they measure, as I said, water velocities and wave characteristics. There'll be 8 instruments deployed. They're deployed by divers that rest the instruments that are on little small cement tiles that rest that on the seafloor. There's no surface expression above the water. And they will be deployed anywhere from 2 weeks to a couple of months, off and on over a period of 5 years. So this particular instrument, the tilt current meters, will have temporary impacts to land under the ocean just by resting on land under the ocean. All right, next slide, please. Okay, the acoustic Doppler current profilers, or ADCPs as we like to call them, they measure currents and velocities, directions, and water surface elevations. We are proposing 2 of those to be deployed sort of further offshore from the island. They will be diver deployed. They'll be on these tripods, one of these 2 pictures that you see in this graphic here. They'll be resting on the seafloor. Again, no surface expression for these instruments. They'll be in the water from 2 weeks to 2 months, again, over a period of 5 years. with temporary impacts to land or the ocean just caused by the resting of those tripods on the seafloor. All right, next slide, please. As far as the pressure data loggers, those measure water surface elevations and depths. We have 10 of those planned up on the beach, sort of on either side of a sort of a natural area that is like a cobble berm. So we're looking at how well that berm will attenuate that wave energy and water levels on either side of the berm. So these will be deployed by hand by someone walking along the beach. They'll be inside these little PVC tubes that you see in the picture. And then a screw anchor, 18-inch screw anchor, will anchor this to the beach. They will be in for about 2 weeks, again, as the others, 2 weeks to up to 2 months for a period of 5 years. And this particular instrument will have sort of temporary impacts in the coastal beach, land subject to coastal storm flowage, and land-containing shellfish. All right, next slide. And then the cameras. So those are for visual observation of the waves. We've got 3 real-time cameras planned that will be deployed by hand from land on foot. They'll be inside fiberglass housings or mounted to aluminum poles or tripods, or if there's a tree in the area, we can fasten them to the tree using elastic bands. They'll have solar panels and antennas to relay the data to a remote server. They'll be deployed anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months for a period of 5 years, and they'll have temporary impacts to the bank, dune, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. Next slide, please. And this is just a depiction of where they all are. So again, the ADCPs are the red dots, the tilt current meters in the nearshore area, the green ones, the pressure loggers are the blue triangles up on the beach, and then the cameras are on the bank or at the southern part, right at the edge of the dune. Next slide, please. So we are requesting a -2 determination. The project will not remove, dredge, fill, or alter any resources in the project site, and so we do feel like it is worthy of a -2 determination.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fascinating. Okay, a couple quick questions for you. These are being deployed and redeployed in a very specific intervals, 2 to 8 weeks over a 5-year period. Why are they being deployed and redeployed so often? What's the point?
I think that was just really our a way of indicating that it's really going to be variable. So it could be out there for 2 weeks, and then we might not go back for another 2 months. I think the 2-month deployment sometimes has to do with the battery life. And so we'll have to go back out and either, pull them in, put in new batteries and redeploy them. So it's going to be variable. I think the intent was just to show that they could be in for very short periods of time, a little bit longer, but overall over 5 years, we'd like to be able to maintain them and deploy them as the research dictates as necessary.
Okay, so it's more of an operational constraint that has to do with the
Typically,
battery?
yes. Yeah.
So these
Yeah.
go back in the same place. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So unfortunately, we can only issue RDAs for 3 years. So
Okay.
we're gonna have to see you again in 36 months or 36
Okay,
months.
so that's true even if it's a -2
Correct.
and
Yep.
we're not changing anything.
Yep, that's my
Okay.
understanding. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And as far as you're surrounding the island, which is great. So the findings for what you are looking for here, can they be extrapolated to, a more general scenario, or is this specific to, I was going to say Kathleen Stone Island?
No, they can definitely be extrapolated, and that's really the whole point, is to try to collect data on, how these various living shoreline type solutions can be used and deployed to build resiliency and minimize erosion. And so the idea is to collect information and data at this site here that exists, where some of these natural features exist, and then extrapolate that to other sites. And to help with designs for other living shorelines.
Okay, great. So Leslie, let's have a little fun. Tell me what would be, I don't know, a finding that would send you over the moon that you found in collecting this data? What are you looking
Well,
for? What
one
would
thing
make you happy?
I mean, Francesco might be able to add more to this, but one thing I can say is with those pressure data loggers, if we can see that, you know, a pile of rocks, a berm, let's say, a cobble berm, does a really terrific job of attenuating wave energy and reducing water levels such that landward of that, on the landward side, you know, we're not getting waves that are causing erosion of the bank behind it. That would be a great finding.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for indulging me. Before I go to Ellen, I just want to remind members of the public to provide public comment. Please raise your hand or type in the chat in the application via the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute yourself, or send your questions to staff via email at cc@boston.gov. Eleanor, what do you have on this?
Thank you. Yes, we don't have anything to add based on the discussion so far.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sullivan.
Yeah, in your in-water instruments, the two of them that you're putting out there, you can actually put them there and not anchor them, because I see lobster pots washing up in the Antasket Beach all the time. And they're pretty hefty. And that those instruments you got, do you have something on it? Should a storm come and move them, can you locate them and retrieve them?
I'm going to let Francesco speak to the tilt current meters, but I know that at Woods Hole Group we've deployed a number of ADCPs all over the place on these tripods, and they have withstood. You know, the tripods are quite heavy, and there's big weights on them, so they hold them in place, and they've withstood, you know, storm activity. They're also in deeper water, and so you're not getting that sort of you're not getting that wave action that you would expect that might cause, say, those lobster pots to move around. But I don't know if Francesco can speak up about the tilt current meters.
Yeah, I can add to that. Both platforms, the current meters and the acoustic Doppler current profilers, have a significant mass versus expansion, like volume, that they present. So they're very resilient to strong currents, waves, actions, and so forth. Some of the washed up lobster pots that we see often is because the pots are tethered with each other and maybe tethered to a surface expression. So they're usually the result of them being snagged by other vessels or anchors or so forth. They sort of free them of their tether. These type of platforms are standalone. They have their own heavy footings that keep them in place. And I should add the acoustic current Doppler profilers have an acoustic release system that will release a surface expression upon calling it from the surface. So even if we had moved partially, we will be able to relocate it, even if the divers wouldn't be able to find it.
Yeah, and so when the divers place them, they do it with GPS or?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. They by the GPS they position a temporary little buoy with a small anchor, and then they can dive down to the bottom of that and lower down the platform using lift bags.
Yeah. All right. They didn't look that heavy. It looked like nice light stuff you're putting in the ground. So I'm just curious more than anything else. That's all. That's all I have.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Sullivan. Commissioner Linay.
That was my question too, so I don't have any other questions. Thanks.
Okay. Commissioner Smargiassi?
Nothing further.
Commissioner Herbst?
Project.
Oh, go ahead.
Cool project. I'm looking forward to talking to you folks in 3 years to hear what you learned.
Yeah. Commissioner Herbst?
Could you say, it sounds like one of the things, I'm interested in the different strategies that you will be testing out. It sounded like you were talking about rock formations and maybe dunes. Are there other things that you will be trying to record what their impact is?
I can probably express these thoughts. So there's the two family of instruments that measure the forcing conditions, the incoming waves and currents. Those are the forcing conditions that are exerted onto the shoreline. And then near shore, we are planning on measuring wave by means of pressure sensors on either side of these remnant riprap that is present there, and this cobble berm that is formed upon that riprap. And so we want to be able to measure the attenuation that this fortuitous structure is causing, so that we can possibly extrapolate that to other applications where we would apply a cobble berm and obtain the same attenuation results. Anecdotally, we have visited the island, and anecdotally we have noticed that there is accumulation of sediment on the shore side of this berm, and there's small fringing salt marshes that are beginning to establish there. So it's really an interesting experiment to do, and an interesting process to see in action like this.
Yeah, I'll certainly be interested to hear. I saw you had, notified the island and that they're fine with that. Does nobody need to be notified about the offshore or off their property? Or
We are getting permits from the Boston Harbor Master and the Army Corps.
okay, I guess that's. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, thank you. Elena, I do see something in the chat. Any raised hands, or do we just have this chat here?
I don't see any raised hands, no, so just the chat and no emails either.
Okay, so that's Mr. Covert. Mr. Covert, did you want to unmute and ask your question, or do you want me to read it? Okay, so I'll read it. Do beach sensors float?
I'm not quite sure what.
No, I can answer that one if
Okay.
So the beach sensors are very small PVC tubes. This is to protect the pressure sensors from cobbles that might be moving during storms and wave action. And these sensors are anchored with those earth anchors that you see, those 18 inches earth screws. So they will be affixed to the surface of the beach. They will not be easily removable by hand. One would need to have an electric drill to unscrew the anchor.
Okay, thank you. Second comment here looks more like a comment. PVC looks like beach litter. Woods hold notice. Mr. Covert, did you want to unmute to clarify your statement here? Or is this just a general statement that you don't like the PVC? Okay, so I'll take it as a general statement.
I can comment to that.
Please.
PVC is broadly used in a lot of scientific application for its ease of manufacturing and shaping in the forms that you need. These small casing are going to be labeled. They have a stamped label on it that describes what the instrument is, and we are planning to obviously recover all of these enclosures. And we're very concerned about that, obviously.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. Okay, I don't see anything else. Do you, Elena?
I do not see anything else either.
Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to issue a -2 determination of a -2 determination of applicability.
So moved.
And close the hearing. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Sullivan.
Aye.
Commissioner Linay.
Aye.
Commissioner Esses-Smagiazzi.
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst.
Aye.
And I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you. Looking forward to your findings in 3 years.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, there is one continuance. Continued is notice of intent for DEP file number 006-2042 and Boston file number 2025-014. We'll now begin our regular meeting. First item on the agenda will be a request for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-1834 from Niche Engineering on behalf of the Massachusetts Department of Transportation for the proposed roadway improvements located at Cipher Streets, Richard Streets, East Street, and Fargo Street in South Boston. Resource area, land subject to coastal storm flowage. Eleanor, what do we have?
Thank you. Yes, we conducted a site visit yesterday, and Apologies, I think yeah, the date, we weren't able to conduct it on our normal site visit date, so that happened yesterday, but there are photos here as well as in the commission's drive folder for your review. There were
That
some
was definitely conducted yesterday.
That was, yeah.
On 3/5, there was like 28 inches of snow there.
Decidedly not Thursday. No,
Yeah.
it was a
Okay.
lovely walk,
Great.
despite the amount of trucks that were going by us. But there were some minor curb realignments, but other than that, and a change in a few places from impervious to pervious material to avoid damage to tree root zones. But other than that, the work was done in substantial compliance with the permit, and we would recommend issuing a certificate of compliance with perpetual maintenance conditions number 60, 71, and 78.
Okay, why did you flag the PPP here?
Pardon?
Why did you flag the long-term pollution prevention plan? Because there's one in place?
Let's see. That is a great question. Apologies. Let me. I'm so sorry. That is embarrassing. I am not 100% sure why we included this in the slide. Dee Dee, do you happen to remember?
Yes, pretty sure that there's a long-term pollution prevention plan that John Schmidt had mentioned on the site visit.
Great. So it exists is
Yes.
why we.
Yeah, we should have
Perfect.
elaborated on that bullet, but yes.
Great.
Okay. And to your knowledge, it's being followed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Do any of the other commissioners have any questions?
Nope.
Okay, so with that, I would entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0061834, retaining perpetual maintenance conditions 60, 71, and 78.
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Sullivan.
Aye.
Commissioner Linay.
Aye.
Commissioner Smargiassi.
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst.
Aye.
And I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Okay, thank you. Next item, request for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0061388 from Boston Public Works Department for Connect Historic Boston bicycle and pedestrian improvements on Commercial Street and Atlantic Ave, North End and downtown. Land subject to coastal storm flowage is the resource area.
Great, thank you. Yes. So this was in fact a site visit done last Thursday. And this is not quite as old as one of the COCs that the commission has issued recently, but it is an older project. So this is part of our attempt to get open orders of conditions closed out, even if they've been expired for a while and the work has been complete. So we were able to get this filing in and conducted the site visit. There was an area at Atlantic Avenue at Commercial Wharf, and at that time, the project team ended up not using permeable pavers because the maintenance wouldn't have been plausible for the city. I guess as a sort of side note, I think that I know that there's an initiative, especially in our Office of Green Infrastructure, to really start to put maintenance plans into place and determine where permeable pavers are specifically feasible. And so I think that this was something that was proposed originally and did not work out. So that is one of the changes that was made. And I also just wanted to flag that on the right-hand photo, you can see some granite blocks on top of the seawall. And the city did not install this, so this seems to be work that has been done separately. So we're looking into that as a separate note to try to figure out when that was done and who did it. That being said, despite these changes, and of course, again, the granite blocks that we see in the right-hand photo were not done by the city, but we would recommend issuing a complete COC with perpetual maintenance conditions 27, 39, and 51.
Okay. So am I understanding this correctly? They were supposed to use pervious pavers and they went to an impervious surface without notifying staff?
They did. This was also, I will say that I think because of gaps in our records, it's possible that there was communication that we just don't know about. Every time a new person is in our staff roles. We don't have access to their email or like to their inboxes. So it's possible that the city was notified at some point, but it's not in the project folder. The order of conditions was issued in 2014. And Maddie, I don't want to put you on the spot. I don't know if you're still actually on the call, but one of our colleagues, Madeline Webster, is, or at least has been on the call earlier tonight and might be able to speak to this. But I think part of the struggle is also that the folks who were on the team who was conducting this work I don't believe, are with the city anymore.
Hi, yes, I'm still here. This is Maddie Webster with the Public Works Department. Yeah, everyone who worked on this project is long gone from the city, but it was the two-way cycle track that was supposed to be porous, and for whatever reason, I mean, we've never done, as far as I know, a cycle track that is. So I guess it was a great idea that just didn't come to fruition because we can't maintain that. That's as far as I know.
Okay. Okay. Understood. I mean, it's not your fault. It's just a very big change in the scope of the project. And that would definitely, the order of conditions would definitely have included notice to Concom staff. Wow. Yeah, I guess there's not much we're going to do about it now. And the reason is because of the pervious systems don't perform well with the type of wear that they take.
It's a great question. I looked for documentation on this. This is kind of unfortunately, a thing that I've seen quite a bit, where we have plans to do these things and then it is just written out because it costs too much or because they can't maintain it, and it could have been one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand. Whether it's value engineering or it's just a bad idea, it's still good to be noticed, or you should be noticing people giving you permits for a particular scope of work if you're going to be changing it. But again,
Absolutely.
not your fault. I'm not casting any aspersions towards you. I know you were not around when this happened. So, okay.
I think they changed contractors in the middle of this thing too. I think this contract had an issue with the original contract and they went to another contractor.
Yeah.
The one question I have is, do we have on file the original proposed plans? And did the city, or they were required to give as-built plans? Because they put in a bunch of dry wells on this thing. And we were trying to figure out where they are. I mean, so the water goes in the catch basin, goes to a dry well, then it goes into our system, which is a good idea. And it works better than permeable pavement and all such things. We're not sure where they are. We know that they went in, and we can't call anybody over there because, like they've said, they're all gone.
Yeah. Maddie,
I
any suggestions?
can certainly try to get you an answer on that. We did not submit as-builts. We were, since we don't have the consultant around anymore, we were given the okay to not do that, but we got a letter from the consultant, the lead engineer, saying that it was pretty much built according to plan. So we can certainly try to figure out the dry well situation.
Well, yeah, if you have the original plans, if you could get them over the Water and Sewer Commission, we can poke around and look for them. We have cameras and stuff. We can try to find out where all these things are, because think they always say we did it according to plan, which means we put a dry well somewhere in the city of Boston, and that's the closest they get. So we like a little better than that.
And we do have we have the plan set from March of 2014 on file, so that we do have.
If you can get me that electronically, we could start trying to check this out.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So this does raise the larger question about operations, Maddie. And Elena, what are we doing interdepartment to and now I'm thinking, as we're talking about this, I've seen projects where I thought there was going to be a different type of paving material used, and then I think when it went out to bid, value engineering, and then we got more dense, dark paving materials. So I think this happens more often than we'd like to think. So what are the safeguards that this doesn't happen in the future? What can we do?
I think so. This is my initial response is going to be maybe optimistic about open lines of communication, but I think that the systems that we have in place for how we maintain our files are, I would say, more comprehensive than what they were in maybe 2014. So at this point, for example, like if we have communication with proponents, all of that is always PDF'd and that is uploaded to project files so that we have a record of what our staff has approved, what our staff has asked for. If if things end up having to be an amendment or a brand new filing, we have all of that in our records. It's possible that the record keeping before was not necessarily taking into account that eventually people would leave the city and that institutional knowledge would be going with them. I think that also it seems to be a unique challenge with the set of COCs that we are trying to sort of solicit from people across the city, whether they're private property owners, developers, or our colleagues in the city, folks at Massport, DCR. We're trying to work with people to get their orders closed out, and I think that depending on how long ago the work was done, we're running into sort of differing levels of challenges with what materials people actually have on hand.
Okay. So all that being said, does this sounds like, I mean, do we need to have Commissioner Sullivan run a citywide department seminar on permitting in compliance with permitting? Like, and Ellen, I appreciate what you're saying.
You got the wrong guy because we owe a COC.
Okay.
Eleanor grabbed us and yelled at us. So
okay, maybe the wrong guy. Maybe it's Commissioner Herbst, but the point still stands. This seems systemic, and it seems like an issue that needs to be. And it's not picking on DPW here. It seems like an issue maybe that spans all city agencies that do work.
Absolutely. And I will just say that in the future, when we have a project that comes through the Conservation Commission, we will absolutely update you all per the law. So going forward, should be all set.
Okay. I trust you. Thank you. So, Elena, maybe when we get through our phase 3 regulations, maybe this is our next project. But anyway, okay. Anybody else? Commissioner Herbst?
I just had a comment because I just think Elena is bravely going forward trying to get people to submit their COCs, and I think we're going to see a lot of this, and it's going to be worse than this kind of stuff in my experience. Yeah. I mean, it's really an issue. We spend a lot of time permitting, and then what people do doesn't always bear much relation. I do think, I mean, it would be very long term, and it's always, I think Ellen is doing a great job taking it on. It's very hard to do just time-wise. If over time people thought, oh, we really are going to look at the COCs in 3 years and hold them to account, that could help over time. But unfortunately, I think what you're going to uncover is a lot of mess.
And I'm hoping that moving forward, so simultaneously with this effort to reach out to folks and close out these older permits, we also have a new system in place to send letters and emails to folks about 3 months before their permit expires to let them know that they should either be filing for an extension or closing out their permit, depending on where they are in the process. So I am hoping that moving forward, it gets better. And to clarify, sorry, I wanted to clarify my comment about records keeping was not an intent to throw folks under the bus. I just mean I think the way that we have used our sort of electronic record keeping has changed over the years. And then at some point, I also know that the department switched over from sort of one format of keeping records over into Google Drive. And so I am basically anytime we chat with folks and people are trying to find out, oh, did somebody reach out to commission staff 10 years ago to let them know that this was happening? Usually the answer is it's possible. We don't have it in our records. But it's hard to say for sure that it either did or didn't happen. Really, all we can say is whether or not we have it in our records, which is a deeply imperfect response to that concern.
Okay. So I think, what Commissioner Herbst is saying makes perfect sense, and I think that's helpful. But it does seem to be there might be a systemic issue that even within those 3 years and keeping people on a tighter leash to get their COCs in, that there's not a recognition that when you go ahead and value engineer a public works project, we don't really need to tell anyone. I'll go back to that point. And Commissioner Estes Smargiassi, you're nodding your head. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, I'm nodding my head. I think, we've done it recently. We need to make examples occasionally of someone who egregiously doesn't follow their permit conditions so that other folks realize that you might have to tear up something and replace it if you don't follow your permit conditions.
There is, without sharing too much, there are certainly folks who have received that feedback from us and are in the process of basically undoing a lot of work that they did.
I know that. So maybe it's a matter of folks knowing that that's happening. Do we need to be a little loud, to be a little bit more broadcast about when we've taken someone to task so that others realize that could be a problem?
Yeah, and music to the ears of people who live through this construction of this, they would on Commercial Street, I think they would love to hear that the track lane is being ripped up when they get their parking. This was very controversial. So this might be a fun one to pilot that program.
Just we might pick one where we're not likely to get scapegoated for it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to keep on harping on this, but okay. So, Elena, can you remind me again of the perpetual maintenance conditions here?
Absolutely, yes. And again, I appreciate everybody's input on this because it is a challenging situation all around. But the perpetual maintenance conditions for this were going to be 27, 39, and 51.
And what do those say? What does 27 say?
That is a great question. Sorry, let me I have my numbers. I don't have the text, but here we go. Let's see. So 27, 39, 51. Great. So 27, where relevant, all facilities equipment will be continually operated and maintained so as to comply with the conditions and the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act. The applicant, owner, successor, or signs, that might be a typo, shall be responsible for maintaining all on-site drainage structures and outfalls, assuring the lasting integrity of the surface cover on the site and site activities so as to prevent erosion, siltation, sedimentation, chemical contamination, or other detrimental impact to the on-site and or off-site wetland resource areas. This condition shall be a perpetual maintenance condition and shall not expire upon the issuance of a certificate of compliance.
That's awesome. So Public Works has to take over our catch basins. Just what I wanted to hear.
Excellent. Yeah. So I'm happy to get positive feedback on that. And then the next one is 39. The applicant, owner, successor, or assigned shall regularly remove and dispose of debris on all wetland resource areas on the project site. This is a perpetual maintenance condition that shall not expire upon issuance of the certificate of compliance. And number 51 reads, snow from landside areas shall not be plowed or otherwise deposited into the waters of Boston Harbor or adjacent coastal beaches or banks. Snow must be stockpiled or on paved surfaces that direct melted snow to catch basins. De-icing material and sand shall be stored and contained in areas that will not allow for their migration into wetland resource areas. Prior to April 1st, all sand and salt from winter application must be removed from the site. Snow management shall be a perpetual maintenance condition that shall not expire upon issuance of a certificate of compliance. Oh, and Dee Dee, ever one step ahead of me, also noted that they are in the staff comments document in each project folder. So in case I read through those so quickly or poorly, those are there for your reference as well.
Okay. Commissioner Sullivan.
And does that get recorded? I mean, if that gets recorded, how do you record it to what piece of property?
The certificate of compliance, so it gets recorded against the parcels that are listed on the application for the certificate of compliance, as well as the order of conditions. So the proponents have there's an incentive to get their COCs recorded because that is what actually lifts the encumbrance on the deed from the property.
Right, but given that any city street isn't a parcel, where the hell do they record that?
Hmm.
I think the index would just be the streets,
And this, so
right?
there is a parcel ID associated with this project.
Oh,
Let's see.
no, you can get me that tomorrow because we deal with the city about streets not being parcelized. So just curious. It's probably one of the old commissioners' houses. So what the hell?
Yeah.
It could be.
It's the
Okay.
parcel with they just listed the parcel ID for the skating rink because one of these sections of the project that was under the purview of this commission was the Harbor Walk, behind the skating rink.
Thank you, Maddie.
The city owns that, or does the DCR? Is that a city owned?
DCR.
Anyway, why don't we move on because it'll be tomorrow soon.
Okay.
So
Sounds good to me. I don't even know where we are right now. I guess I'm calling for a vote. Entertain a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for DEP file number 006-1388, retaining the perpetual maintenance conditions 27, 39, and 51.
So moved.
Have
Second.
a second. Thank you. Commissioner Sullivan,
Aye.
Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Smargiassi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Thank you, Maddie, and thank you for letting us vent your way.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay. Next item is a request for a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0061989 and Boston file number 2024-014 from Fort Point Associates on behalf of Ocean Havens LLC for the proposed removal of a floating dock from the marina and relocation of 2 associated pilings within the marina located at 87 Commercial Wharf in the north end. Resource area is land under ocean and fish runs. Eleanor, what do we have on this?
Apologies, I was muted. We conducted a site visit on March 5th, 2026. There are additional photos in the drive folder for the commission's review. There were no deviations from the plans, and the project execution basically went as planned. So we would recommend issuing a certificate of compliance with perpetual maintenance condition number 54, which reads the applicant must regularly remove and dispose of debris on all wetland resource areas on the project site.
Okay. Any questions from any commissioners?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I would entertain a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0061989 and Boston file number 2024-014, retaining the perpetual maintenance condition contained at number 54.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Sullivan,
Aye.
Commissioner Linay,
Aye.
Commissioner Smargiassi,
Aye.
Commissioner Herbst,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That carries 5-0. Elena, do we have any administrative updates?
We have one, and it is to let you know that we are accepting nominations for this year's Climate Leader Awards. So this is an annual event that celebrates local leaders taking innovative actions that contribute to Boston's decarbonization, energy transformation, resilience, and waste reduction goals. So you can nominate, if you have someone in mind, you can nominate a business, a community organization, or an individual for one of many categories. There is the Boston Innovation Award, which is for research and innovation, the Bright Future Award, which is for energy, the Clean Green City Award, which is for environmental protection, the Emerald Skyline Award, which is for buildings, and the Resilient Boston Award, which is for resilience and preparedness. So folks can nominate, again, any of those categories, businesses, community organizations, or individuals. They can also self-nominate, or they can send this information to somebody they think should self-nominate. And we encourage you to nominate folks who exemplify the mission of one or all of these awards. The deadline for nominations is March 16th, 2026 at 5 p.m. And there's information on the slide. There's also a QR code, but you can also find this by searching 2026 Boston Climate Leader Awards. And I'm also happy to send this link with more information to any of our commissioners if you're interested.
Okay, the QR code didn't work.
Oh no, okay.
It said it was unsafe.
That is unfortunate.
And the address is invalid. Not
that
only
is-
unsafe, the address is invalid as well.
That is not great. Okay, I will.
Just so you know. Okay.
Great. we're really knocking it out of the park tonight.
Hey, no one nominated anyone. I wonder why.
The link is just non-existent. There we go.
The
Okay, so
QR code worked for me.
Yeah, it worked for me too. So.
oh, strange. Okay, I dropped a link in
Yikes.
the chat as well. And I will also drop a link to the Google form.
Yeah,
But yeah.
you definitely need to order. The QR code tells me that it's a phishing scam.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so funny. Okay.
It must be the spam blocker we have, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
Okay.
sense. You're too well protected.
Well, okay. But great awards.
Very
This is
exciting.
pretty cool. Yeah.
If you manage to get in, you could be the only one.
Yeah.
High probability of winning.
Oh, good. Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it for admin updates for
That's it.
tonight.
And we didn't have any meeting minutes that I saw.
No, they'll be ready for the next hearing.
Okay, thank you. So I guess this is the end of our night. And no snow. Fantastic. Okay, so unless anybody objects, I think it's time to adjourn. And we'll see you in a few weeks. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Oh, geez. Thank you for all your work and your participation.
Thank you so much.
Good night, all.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thanks, everyone.